Hi, it's RT from Brown Bear Herbs. Today I want to talk about solo smokes. We have 5 different main cigarettes that we sell and 3 seasonal blends. The 5 main ones are really geared towards helping you with tobacco cessation, or for some people, alternative to marijuana. And then the other 3, they can be used for tobacco cessation as well, but they're not quite as geared into and they um, also aren't usually available year round. They're just available here and there. But right now they've been available for a while because we've been low on filters. Um, so for fun. But anyways, so some of our smokes are more suited for people who smoke socially, and some of them are more suited for people who smoke by themselves. So Clear Mind and Gentle and Protective are 2 that I think of as solo smokes. And I'm going to talk about those 2, and then I also talk about how you could use a few other of our blends solo versus social. So Gentle and Protective is made with raspberry leaf, lavender, and mullein. Those are all 3 herbs that have some protective properties, especially raspberry leaf and mullein, like soothing your energetic field. Also, lavender is a good one for people who are sensitive to psychic energy around them. So it's a good one for sleep for people who are sensitive psychically. And I think of Gentle and Protective as like you tend to smoke after maybe you get emotionally overwhelmed or psychically overwhelmed by like what's going on in your environment, or big emotions that come up, and then you kind of go off by yourself to have a cigarette, regroup, and kind of collect your energy. And tobacco does have protective properties, but obviously if you're smoking a lot every day and you're smoking a bunch of chemicals with that, then that's, the risks outweigh the benefits of it. In the past, I've smoked, I was a cigarette smoker, standard cigarette smoker, tobacco smoker when I was a teenager for about a year. But since then, occasionally I will smoke like a tiny bit of tobacco. It's been years since I've done it, but mixed in with other herbs ceremonially. And I do have experienced that protective quality. But when I do, it's like literally like the smallest little bit with, it's just hardly any herbs at all and barely any tobacco. So it's such a different experience than smoking a pack of cigarettes in a single day. So the goal behind the blend was to provide the same sense of protection and maybe even better protection and soothing quality through different herbs that are not addictive. So I found that when I would have times when I needed that cigarette, I would smoke maybe 1 or 2 a day. So it's the effects are going to last. It's not about getting like a buzz, like a nicotine fix or something like that. It's about consuming medicine for the emotional and psychic overwhelm. So you should feel helped by that. If that medicine, if you're responsive to the medicine, you're sensitive to herbs, and you should feel that for a while, and it should be helpful for a while so that you're not having to. Clear Mind is the other one that I think of as more of a solo smoke. It's really about like focusing your mind and getting into a space. Like you could use it if you just want to feel like more contemplative. If you have a lot of like mental, when I think of Gentle and Protective, I think of like waves of emotion or waves of psychic energy and feeling happening, and that like soothing you and protecting you, insulating you in a very gentle, like very godmother type of way. But when I think of the Clear Mind, I think of more like just like a lot of electrical energy and maybe like too much mental activity that's more like thoughts, and or maybe disorganized mental activity too, and just like really focusing that energy. And the herbs in it relate to like memory and cognitive functioning. It's got linden and gotu kola and and spearmint. Both spearmint and linden also relate to like calming emotions, but you know, emotions are part of your brain and part of your thought process. But different, I feel like the focus is more about getting to mental clarity versus like maybe emotional peace or equilibrium for the gentle protective. Yeah. So a clear mind is wonderful if you want to feel like more zen, or you want to get in the mood maybe to do something like a quiet activity for yourself. But I also think of it as being really good for people who use nicotine throughout the day as they do creative work, like artists and writers who tend to smoke a lot as they work, because nicotine does have some properties that help with creativity, which is don't smoke. Don't be a tobacco smoker. It's bad for you. It'll kill you slowly and painfully. But these herbs are non-addictive, and they also help facilitate that, like the mental clarity and kind of creativity that you get from being still and calm. And so I recommend it for that. And I think I've had a lot of good feedback from people who are using it in that way. So those are the two main ones I think of as solo smokes. I always say you can use sexy solo with other people, but I think that sexy smokes, but that's an aphrodisiac, so you can imagine how that one goes if you're by yourself. It's definitely a good for being grounded and feeling more confident. And and it has herbs in there for trauma. So that's something that you could use for nurturing yourself. Like if you just needing to work with some of your trauma stuff and get more grounded and feeling more earthy and sensual, you can do that by yourself as well as with other people, and maybe even good practice to do it by yourself. Switch into that mode and do some healing work, whatever level that exists on for you. Yeah, and then Astral and Body, that is really intended to be a social smoke, which I'm going to do a social smoke video on YouTube soon. But solo for ritual work, really great for calming moon energy. Like if there's intense moon energy, which we have a big, looks like it's going to be an intense full moon in Aries coming up here in a few days. And that would be a good one to smoke to just calm, So very calming, but specific to that moon energy because it's got mugwort in it. But it also has it is a really good one for ritual smoking. So you by yourself get less of the zany properties as when you hang out with other people and smoke it. But if you're smoking it by yourself and doing ritual work, it's really good for tuning into other frequencies, but staying grounded and really protective. Different herbs than in gentle and protective, but they're all yarrow, blue vervain, and mugwort. They all have protective and kind of magical properties about them. So I really love that blend because it's both out there and grounded at the same time. But I say keep it safe. You don't know how you're going to react to those herbs. Some people might smoke them and not even notice it. It's not going to be like smoking something that's a controlled substance, that's for sure, because these are just herbs. But if that are you can get in tea. But if you take the time to tune into the herbs and try to learn from them and ask them to help you learn about other things, then you can get some really special experiences from these herbs that would just be in tea. Nothing crazy. Yeah. So those are the ones that I would use for more solo smoking. And then take it easy. I think of that as a work break smoke, which is usually more like people can be around or not. But some people like to use that before bed to get themselves out of their head before going to sleep. So I think that covers it for solo smokers. I hope that that was helpful. Oh, and I wanted to just say a few things because sometimes I get questions similar questions over and over again. So just to touch on a few things. First of all, our cigarettes are meant to be inhaled like a regular tobacco cigarette, not like do not smoke them like a cigar and do not smoke them like marijuana. So you can inhale. The herbs are formulated to be very gentle. Clear Mind is the most gentle, then I would say, followed by Gentle Protective, and then Take It Easy and True to You, and then Sexy. Sexy is the harshest because you need quite a bit of the Damiana to get the aphrodisiac properties. And then I won't go into the seasonal smokes with that. But anyways, so they're formulated to be gentle on your lungs. I'm a former asthmatic. I feel like I'm a really good tester for this stuff because I am very sensitive and there's a lot of things that I would never smoke. So they're gentle. You smoke them like a regular cigarette. You can inhale. You don't want to hold that inside you. There's no need to do that. And really, if you're sensitive, you can experiment. You might only need a couple puffs to feel the medicine. Some people experience a big difference between smoking versus consuming herbs as tea or food. So that depends partly on how sensitive you are in your digestive system. So if you have any issues with your gut, then you might not absorb as much of the medicine through your gut. And then, whereas you might find a much more dramatic effect through smoking. Also, the effects of smoking something tends to be more immediate and affect your like energy body and your all over your body, but like I would say energy body and your emotions a little bit faster than like going into the more, it's less physical. It feels less physical to me. Although I do like Take It Easy for headaches. It's super great and fast for me for off-label usage for headaches. Yeah, so just if you only need a couple puffs, that's great. Smoking less is great. I recommend if you're doing that with a pipe, that's easy. But if you're doing that with a cigarette, I recommend tearing off just tear off the cherry, save the rest of your cigarettes for later, and then it won't have such a stale flavor the next time you smoke it. If you leave the cherry on, it tends to be stale. Yeah, so if you enjoyed the video, please subscribe, and if you have questions, please let me know, and I will do more videos.